The snow began to fall on the morning of December 24th, and none of us could imagine that those delicate flakes would turn our family celebration into an endless nightmare. It was our first time celebrating Christmas in my grandparents' old farmhouse. After inheriting it earlier that year, my wife Sarah, our 10-year-old twins, Emily and Lucas, and I were excited about the idea of a cozier, rustic Christmas away from the hustle and bustle of the city. The house was isolated, surrounded by a dense pine forest, about 40 minutes from the nearest town. The dark wooden walls and Victorian windows gave the place a sense of living history, as if every floorboard held memories of Christmases past. "Look at this tree," I said, pointing to the majestic Christmas tree we had chosen. "It's going to look beautiful with all the decorations." The snow fell in thick, silent flakes as we began decorating the tree. Sarah hung the old glass ornaments we found in the attic, while the kids took turns putting up the lights. It was Emily who first noticed something strange. "Dad, look, the snow isn't melting on the glass." I approached the window. The flakes touching the glass didn't dissolve as they should. Instead, they began to create crystalline patterns, like ice webs slowly expanding. The wind began to howl more fiercely, bringing increasingly dense gusts of snow. In less than an hour, the white layer was already above our ankles. The scene would be perfect for a Christmas postcard, if not for one disturbing detail. Where the snow touched the trees in the forest, the bark began to show a grayish hue, as if it were being drained of its life. "I'm going to get more firewood for the fireplace," Lucas announced, running to the porch. That's when we heard his scream. "Dad, my boot. It's stuck." I ran to him. The snow had solidified around his boot like cement. It wouldn't melt with the warmth of our hands, nor would it break when we tried to shatter it. It was as if it were alive, clinging to whatever it touched. "Calm down, son. We'll get you out of there," Sarah said, trying to pull him free. Finally, we managed to free Lucas, but the boot remained eternally stuck to that piece of the porch. That's when we realized we were in real danger. The snow wasn't just falling, it was consuming everything it touched. What would you do upon realizing that the snow was not normal? Would you try to escape immediately, or wait to see if the situation would improve? I tried to call for help, but the lines were already dead. The cell phone had no signal. Through the windows, we saw the snow rising higher and higher, now at knee height, turning our house into an island in a white, hungry sea. And then we heard it. A prolonged, high-pitched creaking sound, like ice expanding. It was coming from the walls. The snow was beginning to consume our house. The following hours were an exercise in pure terror. The temperature inside the house plummeted rapidly, our breath forming clouds of vapor in the air. The snow continued to fall incessantly, but it wasn't a natural fall. The flakes seemed to have purpose, as if they were searching for cracks and gaps to enter. "We need to gather in the center of the living room," I suggested, trying to stay calm. "Let's protect ourselves near the fireplace." Sarah organized our small group, piling up all the blankets and coats we could find, creating a nest of protection for the kids. Emily wouldn't stop shivering, even next to the fire. And Lucas kept his eyes fixed on the windows, where the snow had already reached halfway up the glass. "Something's wrong with this snow," Sarah whispered, as she tried to make hot chocolate on the wood stove. "Look at the pattern of the flakes." She was right. Through the still uncovered windows, we could see that the flakes weren't falling randomly. They moved in organized spirals, as if they were dancing a macabre waltz. And every flake that touched the house left a bluish mark, like a frostbite. The creaking in the walls grew louder with each hour. The old wood groaned under the pressure of the accumulating snow. In some places, we began to notice that the snow was literally penetrating through the wood, creating small ice needles that grew inward. That's when we found the diary. Emily discovered it while we were searching for more blankets upstairs. It was an old notebook with a cracked leather cover, hidden behind a loose panel in the wall of the master bedroom. The yellowed pages contained my grandfather's shaky handwriting, dated from the winter of 1954. "She's back," read the first entry. "The consuming snow. I thought it was just a childhood nightmare, but it's here again. This time, I won't let it take anyone else." The following pages described a similar storm that occurred when my grandfather was a child. A snow that wouldn't melt, that consumed everything it touched, turning people and animals into statues of ice. According to his accounts, the snow had taken his younger sister. She had gone out to play, and was never seen again, just a small frozen glove left behind. The diary ended abruptly with a sentence that froze my blood. "They are inside it. I can hear their voices singing Christmas songs." If you discovered that your family had such a dark secret, how would you deal with that knowledge in a moment of danger? A scream from Lucas brought us back to reality. The snow had begun to form figures at the windows. Human silhouettes that seemed to press against the glass from outside, as if they wanted to enter. And if we listened closely, we could hear very faintly the sound of bells and children's laughter coming from the storm. As the night wore on, the situation grew more desperate. The snow had already reached the second floor of the house, and the weight was beginning to make the structure creak dangerously. But it wasn't just the physical danger that terrified us. It was the sounds. The voices in the snow grew clearer with each hour. They started as distant whispers, but soon we could distinguish words. Distorted Christmas songs sung by childlike voices. Silent Night and Jingle Bells echoed through the walls. But the lyrics were wrong, transformed into something sinister. "It's Aunt Annie's voice," Emily exclaimed, referring to my grandfather's lost sister. How could she recognize a voice from someone who disappeared decades before her birth? Sarah discovered the answer when she examined one of the snowflakes that had managed to enter through the chimney. Under a magnifying glass, the flake didn't have the normal crystalline structure. Instead, it seemed to contain tiny photographs, like memories frozen in time. In each flake, a different fragment of a past Christmas. The snow isn't just consuming matter, it's consuming memories, moments, entire lives frozen in ice crystals. And now it wants our memories too. An even more disturbing discovery came when Lucas woke from a nightmare, screaming about the children in the snow. According to him, he had dreamed of dozens of children trapped inside the storm, all of them lost in different Christmases over the years. They were stuck in an eternal December, singing and dancing in a never-ending celebration. The worst part was that the higher the snow rose, the more we could feel its influence. We began to have lapses in memory, moments when we found ourselves singing those distorted songs without realizing it. Sarah spent almost an hour in a trance, staring out the window, until I managed to bring her back. It was then that we discovered the true purpose of the snow. The revelation came through a final entry in my grandfather's diary. Written on a loose page we found fallen behind a cabinet. It was a ritual, an ancient winter curse that promised to preserve the joy of Christmas forever. Someone, long ago, wished so much to keep the Christmas magic alive that they made a pact with something ancient and cold. I read aloud, my voice trembling. The snow was their answer. A prison of ice that captured people in their happiest moment, preserving them in an eternal Christmas. But there was a terrible price. To keep the celebration going, the snow needed new participants. Every few years, it returned, looking for more souls to add to its frozen party. "We have to do something before it's too late," I said, looking at my family. "We can't let this happen." When the snow finally reached the attic, our last refuge, we could see the truth through the skylights. In the storm, dancing among the flakes, were hundreds of silhouettes. Children, adults, entire families frozen in time, all smiling, all singing, all trapped in a forced and eternal happiness. It was Emily who found the solution, hidden in the lines of the diary. The snow fed on the joy of Christmas, but it could not withstand its true meaning. The warmth of family love, the pain of sacrifice, the sadness that sometimes comes with the festivities. "We need to share our memories," she suggested, her eyes shining with determination. "Not the happy memories the snow wants, but the real ones." So we did the only thing we could. We began to share memories. We talked about lonely Christmases, empty chairs at the table, tears hidden behind smiles. The raw human truth that exists in every celebration. The snow began to recede, first slowly, then more quickly. The voices turned into screams of frustration, and then into silence. When the sun rose on Christmas Day, it found our house still standing, though forever marked by the touch of ice. But the victory came at a price. Part of the snow remained. Not the physical snow, but its essence. Sometimes, on the coldest nights of December, we can still hear the distant songs. And every Christmas, no matter where we are, we find small snowflakes that do not melt, each containing a fragment of memory that does not belong to us. What do you think really happened that night? Was the snow truly magical, or was there something more sinister behind it all? Share your thoughts in the comments. The truth is that we never celebrated Christmas the same way again. Because now we know that somewhere, in an eternal dance of snowflakes, hundreds of souls continue their endless celebration, singing songs of a Christmas that never ends. And sometimes, on the quietest nights of December, when the snow begins to fall, we close all the curtains and gather by the fireplace, telling sad stories until dawn, because we know that the eternal snow is always waiting, ready to add more guests to its infinite party.